They say that the human race is doomed, that we have lost touch with our true nature, that the media has corrupted us, and that the planet has no future. I disagree. I believe that humanity is full of hope, and that our salvation lies within each one of us. My name is Brian Rose, and my job is to listen, the oldest method of learning known to man. Each week I seek out individuals that are changing the world, people who are living and thinking in a different way. Their stories will challenge your beliefs, make you question your choices, and perhaps inspire you to change. I never planned on doing any of this, but now I can't stop. Join me on this mission and make humanity something we can all be proud of.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Bybreen Samuels, recent graduate of our Broadcast Yourself Accelerator. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Tell me about you. Where are you from? What do you do?
Right, so I was born in London to Jamaican parents who were politically very savvy. Born in Chelsea, grew up in London, so I've really resided in London, although I've travelled quite a bit. Political parents, because my name is very unusual. It's Bybreen Charlene Samuels. Bybreen my parents created. Charlene, I'm named after Charlene Hunter Galt, is a very famous African-American correspondent, and she went to the University of Georgia in 1961. My parents, being political, said if we have a girl, it was albeit 2 years later, we're going to call her Charlene. And the incredible thing was, I went to Barack Obama's first inauguration, and she was everywhere because she is now this very famous African-American that lives between Africa and America. It's like, oh God, I'm named after this woman. So that's my name. Where am I on my journey? I'm 54, happily 54, rocking my greys and really pivoting into this new world that is essential for me, that I bring together the different aspects of who I am. So in my old life, I developed nonprofit organizations from a biz dev point of view. I've done lots of grassroots campaigns. But where I am now, I'm fusing this world of astrology, software engineering. So I'm a rookie software engineer. I'm teaching myself JavaScript every morning. I duke it out with JavaScript. I'm on the cusp of building a product. I also write, and I'm the host of the Smart Years podcast.
And I want to hear more about this. Why did you decide now was the time to start broadcasting yourself?
A variety of reasons, because communication and writing and sharing messages and connecting with people are sort of central to who I am. And when I came across Broadcast Yourself, it just felt like things aligned. So yes, I'm talking astrologically, but also intuitively. This was the right medium to enable me to do what I need to do, because I'm a multi-potentialite, meaning I've got interests, specialisms in different areas. This was a really good vehicle, I could see, to wrap everything within it, so that I've got this holistic identity.
And why London Real?
You.
Tell me more.
So you kind of emerged into my consciousness. I can't give you the date or the time, but you know, you're on YouTube, and I don't know, there was a couple of episodes where the ones that really stood out, Nigel Penn and Dan Hardy. But I'd seen you before, but they were the two episodes that made me sit up. Why? Because it was men emoting in a way that I'd never seen before, so it was refreshing. Because invariably, you know, women either talk about men and who we think they are, and men may or may not talk about men, but to see men talking publicly and in a way whereby their emotions were being unfurled, it was a real beautiful thing to see. So for Dan Hardy, I'd never heard of Dan Hardy, but here's this martial artist. So you've got this image of who martial artists are. I mean, I did martial arts way back in the day, but you know, there's this stereotype. And then here was this man saying, well, yeah, I can beat up people, but that's not really a worthy thing to be doing with my life. And I thought that was very profound, because he's still relatively quite young. Nigel Penn was exquisite insofar as you were, asking him a range of questions, and I could just see he was eager to say, yeah, I know, I've been that person, but I'm now this person. And once he tapped into that narrative, it was beautiful to see him emote in that way and to be held in a way where he could do that safely. So that's how you emerged in my consciousness. And then I used to see these snippets of people saying, oh, this is London Real. And, you'd show some of the workshops. And it was just this sense of, I don't know, it was a feeling. It was like, one day I'm going to be part of that community. And so Broadcast Yourself came up and everything aligned.
Wow, that's a great story. And I still remember that Nigel Penn conversation. It was so powerful.
It was.
And most people don't know that I literally had a face-off with him before that interview started, where he was probably a quarter inch from my face.
Oh,
and
really?
I started to crack a smile, and he yelled. He said, no smiling in a face-off, like he was really aggressive with me. And that was my introduction to Nigel Penn. And then 2.5 hours later, I had my hand on his knee and he was crying.
It was just powerful.
So powerful. I still get shivers. So I'm glad you watched that, and thank you for watching that.
Yes.
And Dan Hardy as well. I had 2 conversations with him, both very powerful, and I remember him saying that. And that is very profound for a young man.
He's young.
And a young, talented fighter to say, yeah, okay, but is this really the best thing to do with my life?
Yeah.
You don't hear that from fighters. So.
Or anyone. Really,
yeah,
generally speaking.
Really. Yeah, very much, very true. So, all right, you pull the trigger, and you get dropped into this crazy Facebook party, a private group. I'm asking you to upload video and to show up twice a week to my live calls. There's this accountability doc, 150 people from around the world. What's that first week like for you?
I wasn't thrown by that. I know for some people they were. For me, I was excited. I think I even emailed you back and said, yippee. I was like, I can't wait to get started. Because I could see, actually, I've got this wealth of experience and it's disparate, it's disconnected, but there's profundity and depth to it. And I thought, actually, I like connecting, I like sharing messages, I like learning and educating. I like speaking, but this is a medium that enables me to get a message out there in a way that satisfies me and satisfies others. So the accountability doc was the accountability doc. I wasn't thrown by it. So I'm into a new world and I was excited to explore it.
What did you struggle with, if anything, on the course?
Right. Zoom.
Okay.
Zoom at times, insofar as I remember Chris's initial video about it, so I thought, okay, let's work out the Zoom. And sometimes it would just run for quite some time. It's like, okay, this is great. And then sometimes it would cut out. My laptop would get hot. It would cut in the middle of a conversation. So in the early days of, even now, interviewing, I just think, okay, I may have half an hour. So I kind of prep my guests that we might cut out. And if we do, don't worry, I'll cue you back in. So technically, even though I'm into technology, that was it challenging, more of an irritation? I didn't find it a struggle in terms of reaching out to people, because the premise of what I'm exploring is bringing visibility to older women, those between the ages of 40 and 65. For a number of women in that category, there's this sense of they feel invisible. I don't tend to feel like that, but I recognize what my personality is about. But I recognize that there are so many people. I used to be a Buddhist. So I had a very strong Buddhist practice for 12 years, and I'm just thinking within that community, although that is about finding self and finding identity, there were a lot of women who kept saying, you know what, I feel invisible. I don't feel seen in society. So I think that's a powerful message. The idea came to me at least 11, 12 years ago when I put on an exhibition around older people, tried to monetize it. It wasn't really going anywhere. I didn't understand business models. Then I got this opportunity to be a Winston Churchill Fellow. Somebody said, oh, have you seen this? And there was a category for the third age. And I thought, right, I'm going to go for that. So I went for it. And I was one of 100 people selected from across the country. And I thought, brilliant, I'm now going to have this sense of the conversation around what does it mean to be an older person in society, but actually looking at it from a contrasting point of view. So I went to China. I was in Beijing and Shanghai for a couple of months, had an amazing time on so many different levels. And so that gave me a deeper insight in terms of how older people are positioned within society. I'm from an immigrant background, so the way older people are treated in the Caribbean is very different from the UK or America, because there is this strong focus on a youth-centric, everything's young, everybody's young, but actually the young people are going to get old one day. So that gave me a really deep insight. So I was selected, one of 100 people from across the country, went and had an amazing time.
Tell me about your podcast and what were the highlights?
The Smart Years. So the Smart Years focuses on women between 40 and 65. As I said, the premise is about bringing visibility to this cohort because they have so much wisdom, knowledge, talents that they could be living for at least another 30, 40, even 50 years. And what does that mean once we get past, quotes, retirement? So what I'm doing is fusing the different aspects of myself. So it's about bringing astrological personal development together with technology and biz dev. And it's this kind of triumvirate of approaches to help build women of that category so they can become the queen of their own reinvention. And who knows, they might be the emotionally intelligent game changers of the future. So that's the premise. That's who I'm addressing.
I like that micro niche.
So do I.
I do like it. And highlights from maybe some of your conversations or the reception, or what was the big kind of wow?
Launch day. I loved launch day. I couldn't wait to get to launch day. So what I did over about 2 days, two and a half days, I literally went one-on-one with about 800 people. And so literally on launch day, Facebook tried to shut me down twice. It's like, you shouldn't be doing this. And I'm like, hell, I've got to be doing this. My laptop nearly caught on fire, but I thought I have to be out there with my message. And I literally went one-on-one. So that's been brilliant, in terms of reconnecting with old friends. So some of it was on Facebook. So I went Facebook, LinkedIn, and about 200 people on my YouTube channel. And I loved that. And so from that, people have come forward. I've even sold a product, so I'm really excited about that. In terms of the conversations and the feedback, so conversations have been exquisite. And it's a blend between, some have been more rolling insofar as exploring. So there was my first conversation with Kim Creighton around diversity and inclusion in tech. Her mum tweeted and said, wow, what a brilliant conversation. So I was like really humbled because, by the one who knows her the best. So that was very flattering. She even said, this is one of the best conversations I've ever had because I got to showcase different parts of who I am as a person. She's not just this campaigner. But how I met her was that on Twitter, there's this woman crying. I'm thinking, why is this woman on Twitter? Why is she crying? So that piqued my interest and I clicked. And it was like I was looking at myself, albeit 25 years ago, because I was involved in a very high-profile legal campaign, and I know what it means to stand up and be counted for something, and to raise your head above the parapet and to step out into the world and say, I'm leading this, or I'm so incensed by this injustice, I'm going to do something about it. And so that was an exquisite conversation. Then there was a mother and son, the dynamic duo. He's a 12-year-old boy who's lighting up the tech world. He's got Tourette's, and he says this is a blessing and not a curse. He was a keynote speaker at Red Hat's International Tech Summit about 3 weeks ago. Sensational. So he teaches children in his local area how to code. They've got their code onto the International Space Station. He's taught 200 children in Bangladesh. He did a crowdfunding campaign. So him and his parents, but it's his mum who tends to go with him to these, conferences and stuff. Brilliant. Here's a 12-year-old boy from South London. Him and his mum are revolutionising tech education for young people. Really powerful. Another conversation I had with Jason Fleming. It was about astrology. So, some people think, oh, astrology, what have we got here? And I literally, sometimes when I say to people I'm an astrologer, or that's one of my identities, I literally see their eyes rolling and thinking, what do we have here? But that was brilliant because Jason, it was great to have a detailed conversation with an astrologer insofar as illuminating the path of astrology as a personal development tool. So what we did was we explored astrology, but then we set it in the context of the corporate psyche, because my audience are women who, A, might be trying to get into the tech world. What does that entail? B, she could be really bored, she could be in a cubicle, hates her job, but has got an idea and wants to use technology. C, she could be a mum or a grandmother who wants to really connect with her children using technology. Or she could be a woman who's rocking her grey hair, she doesn't have children, but she wants to know what smart knickers are and what's a smart fridge and how can I order my next, shopping. So what we did was we juxtaposed astrology as a personal development tool, and for exploring the corporate psyche. They say they want this when they're looking for employees, but what does it really mean? So we used astrology to peel back some of the layers. And in fact, that's been the most watched episode.
Wow.
It's the most watched episode, which is like...
It's a great testament.
Great.
Yeah.
Really great. And then what we did was that we took the planet Uranus and we looked at it in terms of how a woman, if she were to look at her birth chart, or a man, anybody who were to look at their birth chart and to identify something that makes them unique, you would look, at Uranus as a planet, and we explored what that could mean. Yeah, it's powerful. So I'm loving the conversation. So some of them, as I say, are rolling. Some are quite tactical, the how-to guides. And I want this blend of some tactics, and it's, the one I'm due to release is about the Internet of Things. What is the Internet of Things? Yeah. If you're really into technology, you'll know what the Internet of Things means. But if you're a woman in Trelawney in Jamaica, what's the Internet of Things? But actually, how could I connect with the Internet of Things? Or she's a woman in Rochdale on a council estate and she's trying to raise up her life and she wants to use technology. How could the Internet of Things help her grow her life? So it's this wonderful blend. And the people I interview could be right across the age spectrum, because I believe in this intergenerational connection. We're not going to learn when we're within our silos. That's what I'm trying to break through the smart years. It's this interconnectivity. So the person I interviewed on Wednesday was 25, and he's really into IoT. So I thought, great, I'll have Elliot on the show.
Okay, I understood.
Yeah, so it's a mix.
Talk to me about the community, the people in your groups and the people inside. What are they like and what's it like to see them here?
It was wonderful to see them yesterday. So in terms of my group, lovely group. Even from the first conversation that we had after your first live call, we then had our first live call. And there was this real camaraderie, even though we don't know each other, but there was this sense, it was a great vibe. There was a nice energy to it, so I've really enjoyed my group. We're different people, bringing different things to it. So I'm really looking forward to exploring my relationships with them further, but to see them in the flesh. So Alufa, I thought, was really short, and I walk in here and he's really tall. It was like, oh my goodness, he's really tall. And then Sasha, she and I have had conversations. She's now moved to Phoenix, so it's great. It's lovely.
And what are you going to do in the next 12 months? What does this thing look like then? Where are you going?
Where am I going? Where am I going? To enjoy these brilliant conversations and to attract... the people I interview are a mix. So they could be completely unknown, the rookie, who nobody knows, but they've got something to contribute, as well as they could be very well known. So I'm looking for that blend. So I want to have this wonderful blend of those types of people. That's one. Two, I'm looking at the smart years as a hub where women from around the world who are within the age group of 40 and 65, who want to get their groove on and see the smart years as a home that facilitates their own queen of reinvention. I also will be hosting some sort of event, definitely. I want to have my first event within the first year, and more sales. It's brilliant. A week after launching, so this woman bought my book. She's literally paying now for an astrological consultation. And then I put together a coaching program. So she's going to consider that. So it's like, this is brilliant.
Yeah,
You know,
I see you doing a lot more of that.
Oh, yes.
Because they want more of your energy.
Yeah.
So who wouldn't?
That's what I want to do. You know, just be present to my own life. That's really important. It's not just, you know, give. Giving is great, but I need to imbibe as well. So it's about how I grow my own life, and in growing my own life, how I share that with other people. And I love it. So yes, they're the three kind of core things. And I'd love to be traveling the world. That's my raison d'etre. I want to go to every country in the world before I leave it. And the Smart Years could be one way to facilitate that. As well as doing online conversations, I want to go offline.
Okay. And how is Bybreen different? If we went out to the street and bumped into a woman who didn't take this course, how is she different than you?
Well, I think the Bybreen before the course understood running in her own lane. You know, I'm a firm believer of run in your own lane, whatever that looks like. Bring juxtaposition to your world, you know, bring these disparate elements together. So post BY is the celebration of that, because it's a way whereby Bybreen understood that and was doing that in disparate ways. Post BY, there's a vehicle that enables her to do that. So I can just continue hitting the ground running.
This seems like a really natural thing for you.
I know, I've loved it.
A calling your whole life.
I've loved this. I really have.
Yeah, we can tell. Definitely. Final question for anyone watching who's considering this course, but just on the edge, doesn't know if they should do it, they can do it, if it'll help people, help them. What would you say?
Take yourself seriously, but be light with it. And in that exploration between lightness and seriousness, ask yourself the question, you know, what do you think you need in order to facilitate the next phase of your life? And if you've got a message that you want to convey to other people, have some understanding of that. But this course will enable people to ground, to concretize what it is that the version of what they've got in their head, but then to move it into action. And the brilliant thing about BY that speaks to my natural DNA is like, enough talking now, let's get to it. I like that. You know, you can talk and pontificate and you keep talking. Let's get to it now. So BY is a brilliant way to get to it, but then after 8 weeks, you've got something tangible. You've got a viable entity, you've got a product that then can build into a business. So for that reason alone, you know, if you want to explore yourself, expand your life, grow into who you're meant to be, then BY will be a brilliant way to facilitate that.
We like to publish here, as you know.
Yeah.
So, well, look, your energy is obviously infectious. I'm so glad you're broadcasting, and
Thank you.
You know, I'm excited to actually get in and listen to some of your episodes now. So it's amazing. This is definitely your medium, and I can't wait to see where you're going to take this thing. I love the fact that even though it's targeted at a specific demo, you're bringing in lots of other generations, because that might not be obvious to everybody, and it is obvious to me. I love your niche, and I love how you take a group of people who you wouldn't associate with technology and put that into the niche. I mean, I love to see what you're doing, and the astrology part. And again, you know, I'm a huge fan of going niche down.
Yes.
And I love how you're doing that, because if you didn't throw the astrology part in there, it might be too general, but now it's yours. Nobody,
Very
like
much
your
so.
first name, nobody can own your space or your name. And that's what I love, and that's why you're going to be successful.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the family.
Thank you.
It's great having you as a part of this London Real community. The next 12 months, you've got all this extra accountability with your group, and you're a big leader as well in your group, as you know.
Yeah, Jean and I were going to really connect even further with
and
our
what great
teammates.
people. I mean, Jean was just here talking, and so yeah, you've got an amazing network. Really looking forward to what you're doing.
Thank you.
As we say on London Real, it's about the journey. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you for watching Nigel, watching Dan.
Oh, it was just,
And
I tell everybody, those 2 episodes, go do it.
Well, thank you for joining us on this, all right?
Thank
and
you.
to your future.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.